All right, so here's the first video tutorial of getting everything hooked up. So let me give you a little run through. What I have here is 1970 Chevy El Camino. It's got the correct motor and transmission, not matching numbers, but still correct motors. It's a small block Chevy 350 with the Edelbrock ProFlow 4 XT fuel injection. I've also got graded suspension, disc brakes in the front from Bear and so forth. So the real thing that I installed recently is the steering wheel and a gear vendor's overdrive unit. So this video is really to talk a little bit about that configuration that I've done. And I still have the shift column shifter right now, but I'm going to be moving towards the PCS electronic shifter on the Turbo 400 tranny, and then it'll be controlled by the paddle shifters. So once I move into drive, I can basically control up and down shifting from the paddles. Before I go to that, I wanted to test the gear vendors with the column shifter before I introduced a new variable. I also have a new Momo Jet steering wheel, which has some fantastic contours and grip. This is the best thumb position right here, and this one's also really good. But the paddles I can reach very easily. And then I have a carbon fiber plate going with the other carbon fiber accents. And I have two switches here. This is the gear vendor's auto manual switch. And this one does have memory. So when you press it in, you're in auto mode. And then when you release it and it's in the out position, it's a manual mode. This one has no memory. This is to activate and deactivate the overdrive. So we're going to do a couple test drives here. I'm going to show you a little differences between shifting with the overdrive in auto and in manual. In auto mode, it's basically, they call it auto drive, and the overdrive will sense and turn itself on and off whenever it needs to. It's a nice, easy way to drive if you're just going out for easy driving. But when you're trying to drive hard or get quarter-mile times and 0 to 60 times, you really need to be in the manual mode to where you can manually turn the overdrive on and off. The other thing that Gear Vendor says is that there's about a ½ a second delay, and it's about right, when you activate the overdrive for it to kick in. However, when you release the overdrive or you go out of overdrive, that's instantaneous. So when you're column shifting from first gear to second gear, and then you go into overdrive, you go up and you want to go into drive, then you'll move the column shifter and then deactivate the overdrive once you're up, because it's so fast to disengage. That's their recommendation. So you go into drive, which will actually go from 2 over to 3 over. You deactivate to get into third, and then you continue going until you get your RPMs where you want them, and then you activate the overdrive, and then you're cruising about 85, 90 at that point in time. All right, some other things to point out are these are the dash lights for the gear vendors. The red one is on the bottom and the green one is on top. I have these stacked. Their recommendations are to have them left and right, but red basically means overdrive is off, but you're actively in, it's basically on, the computer is on when it's red. The green button indicates that the overdrive is on and engaged. So it's important because when you are in manual mode, you'll see that the red light will be on, and then it'll switch when I hit it to green. So we'll do a couple test drives and we'll take a look at that. Again, this is the first day I'm out testing this, so there's a lot more I need to learn. Some more about the configuration is the display here. This is built in with the paddle shifters, and this is PCS, Power Control Solutions. So this is not hooked up yet, neither are the paddles right now. Again, I'm testing everything with the gear vendors and the column shifter for now. But as you can see, when I shift and go back and forth, it's quite a bit of work. to go back and forth, and I take my hands off the wheel. So I'm really looking forward to getting the PCS installed and getting everything hooked up properly so that I can be able to control the paddles and go to overdrive just by going like this. All right, so let's go for a drive. Also, I have the Dakota digital dash, and I've got a few different features on here. Hopefully you can see that on the camera. My quarter-mile time in manual mode was 15.5 seconds. That is actually faster than I had before I installed the overdrive. I was about 17.5 seconds there. The other thing is my RPMs at 70 miles per hour without the overdrive was 2750. And with the overdrive on, I'm around 2300 RPMs. So a significant drop. In the rear end, I have a Yukon 10-bolt 8.2 gear set, and it's a Yukon Posi 308. That's what I put in. It's mostly highway gears, a little low end, but not much. After I get everything all done, one of my next upgrades is going to be to do a 373 gears, and then I really hope to be getting somewhere around 13.5 to 14 seconds for the quarter-mile distance. I'll be totally happy with that. But the overdrive already has been very impressive. Okay, enough talk. Let's go for a ride. Okay, so I'm in drive. Neutral drive. I also redid the exhaust system and put in H pipes. So you'll be able to hear some of the tuning with the dual exhaust, headers, shorty Headman headers, so I can get the ground clearance. When I did the suspension, I dropped everything about 2 inches and it was really low. So I had to go to shorty headers in order to get things off the ground. All right, so let's do a run in auto drive. So I'm going to turn auto drive on. I'm going to flip the button so now you see the red light here. And then I'm going to clear my dash. So I reset everything on the timers. Hopefully no car comes behind me. Okay, so I'm going to leave it in drive, and I'm going to let the car do it with wide open throttle. You'll see it'll engage the overdrive early in first or second gear, and it will remain in there, so you won't have the best speeds. Okay, I'm in overdrive now, then second, then third. So that was second over, third over. Everything was in overdrive. No, there's third. All right, and this is what I got earlier as well. 18.7 seconds in the quarter-mile distance. I really like this feature in the Dakota Digital Dash. .2 seconds, 0 to 60, quarter-mile speed, 45 miles an hour. That doesn't sound right. Okay, let me do a turnaround. That's the wheel hitting the inner fender. It doesn't often do that. All right, I'm still in auto drive. So you can see it switched to overdrive. It's got a nice solid thump to go in and out of the gears, which I like quite a bit. And then whenever you want to change, again, I have to do it by the column, or in the future it'll be by the paddles. But here's second gear. I'm actually in second over because the green light is on. And if I want to deactivate, that's second gear. Oh, actually, I had it backwards. So the gear selector is not working on the Dakota Digital. I need to get that figured out. So it's harder for me right now to know what gear I'm in and so forth. But I was actually in first over, second over. Now I'm in drive with the overdrive turned off. So now I'm going to select out of the gear vendor. So now I'm in manual mode. I'm going to do a turnaround here, and we're going to do that quarter-mile distance again. And I'm going to control all the overdrive activations. And what gear vendors suggest, and this is what I'm going to do on the trial, is not to go into overdrive in first gear. You don't get much out of that. It's better to go into overdrive in second gear. So what I'm going to do in this run is I'm going to go from first to second over to third out of overdrive and then back into third overdrive. That'll be our test run here. All right, let me get up. And when I'm in manual mode here, you can see no lights are on because the gear vendor the computer is not looking for anything right now because it looks at speed in order to activate the overdrive. But when you're doing it manually, you won't get that. Okay, so here we go. Let me clear my computer. I'm going to drop into first gear. Okay, here comes a car. Gotta go. First, second. Get the RPMs up to 4. Second over. Out. First drive. Oops. Well, I messed that one up. And there was a bit of traffic. And I've been consistently getting 15.5 quarter-mile distance, so that was pretty good. I'd have to look at the video to see what I did there, but I think I was in second over, and then I switched out of it down to second, and then switched into third. That's not the way you should do it. You should go from second over into third over, and then switch out of third over. But hey, I'm still playing with it. Performance is much better. It sounds great. The steering is fantastic. I need to work on the coil cables a little bit. I need a little more slack here. When I make those tight turns, I'm really stretching that cord. I've already broken them a little bit, so I need to work on that stuff. But hey, this sure is fun. And I hope to post a couple more videos once I get things dialed in and I learn a little bit more about the configuration. So that's it for now. I'll see you guys later.